Welcome to the Magnetic Creator Podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Mishler, and each week we have intimate conversations about the things that matter most in life. My superpower is helping you remember who you truly are, a powerful, magical creator. I give you proven tools to help you get unstuck and manifest a life that sets your heart on fucking fire. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, friend, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about manifestation, which can also be called deliberate creation, magnetic creation, law of attraction, and a bunch of other stuff. After all, the name of this podcast is Magnetic Creator, which is all about giving you the tools to create a life filled with abundance, freedom, and joy. And just like the title implies, you are a powerful creator that is attracting things to you all the time, attracting people, experiences, ideas, and all kinds of stuff. Now, I know this might sound really fucking woo-woo to a lot of you, but just stick with me because remember, I say this all the time. I'm equal parts woo-woo, neuroscience, and strategy. So I'll never go off in one direction too far without bringing it all together. I promise. Now, friend, I know there's a lot of teachers and influencers out on the interwebs who say stuff like, oh, you just have to think positive thoughts, or just write down what you want and put it under your pillow, or just imagine, and then poof, it's going to come to you. And friend, I don't agree with this at all because I've been studying creation and manifestation techniques for over 30 years, and I know there's a lot more to it than that. And I know this because I've personally created some amazing fucking shit and also some not so nice stuff. But every time I've manifested something, I've used a very specific, almost scientific method of doing it, which is what I'm going to teach in my manifestation course. But today, I just wanted to clear up some misconceptions because I hear people saying they want to manifest $1 million, or they wonder how they manifested a disease or something like that. They make it all about the stuff. And here's the thing. Manifestation or deliberate creation is about understanding that you are a powerful creator with the ability to shape and mold your life. And then it's about using that power and knowledge to create a life you don't want to escape from. And I think right now we're in a really interesting time in history. Luckily, as a Gen X woman, I have the benefit of knowing life before all this noise, before the internet and smartphones, before we were constantly distracted. But in the last 20 years, technology has given us some amazing things, but it's also created like this constant low-grade anxiety. We're constantly on edge, waiting for our phones to ring or chime. And this alertness creates an anxiety in our brain. It actually creates neural pathways in our brain. And for some of us, it also creates high-level anxiety, which I can tell you that was definitely the case for me because I'm so very sensitive. And that constant connectivity just kept me frazzled and stressed all the time. But even though I was stressed all the time, it was really hard for me to pinpoint the source of it until I did a digital detox and I got off all electronics for 6 weeks. And let me tell you, that changed my life. And if you're interested in learning more about that, head over to my episode, Digital Detox, where I go really deep into that. And I'll link it in show notes so you don't have to go searching for it. But anyway, the reason I bring up the use of technology is because technology often becomes a means of us escaping our life. I can't tell you how many women I talk to who spend hours of every day scrolling through mindless reels on TikTok or Instagram instead of working on creating a life they actually want, a life they actually want to show up for, where their time is valuable. So this constant connectivity also, it shortens our attention spans and it makes it harder for us to focus on one thing for a long time. But here's the thing. Holding our attention firmly on our desired outcome is crucial. It is probably the most crucial aspect of manifesting. And when you get skilled at it, it's really, really fun. Just for fun, I'll share one of our most recent big manifestations. In January, we bought a 4-acre piece of land in Belize. It's right next to our current home. And friend, this piece of property was something that my husband and I wanted from the beginning because it's at the edge of the jungle and we wanted to make sure that we could conserve it for the wildlife around us instead of having it be built up. But when we first bought our home, the owner that owned this piece of property said it wasn't for sale, it was never going to be for sale, and that was it. But I just ignored that. I totally ignored that it wasn't for sale. And every night I spent over a year, probably almost 2 years, doing this very specific sensory process that I teach in my class. And even though I had never been on the land, I'd never walked the property, I visualized myself unlocking the gate, walking through the land, down to the creek, stepping in the water, and just going over and over this beautiful land. And then finally, one day in December, we just got this random call asking if we wanted the property. And it was offered to us at a hugely discounted price. So, friend, I can't describe how amazing it felt to finally own and walk on that property, knowing I had done it hundreds and hundreds of times in my mind. In that process of walking that property in my mind over and over, it required really skilled attention. I had to be very, very focused. I couldn't be distracted while I was doing this. And while manifesting things like this piece of land is fun, the most important kind of deliberate creating is getting out of our own way and creating a life we don't want to escape from, one that we actually want to show up for. It's about creating new patterns that support the life we dream of. I was just talking to someone the other day that said, I want to manifest more abundance. Now, friend, abundance, that's just a vague fucking term. What does that mean? So when I asked her what that meant, we chatted a little bit, and all she talked about was that she had so many bills and debt, and she couldn't afford a house and all of these things. So here's the thing. She did have abundance. It was just abundance of the things she didn't want. But then when I asked her to describe what it would feel like to create what she did want, it was really hard for her to envision because she was so used to thinking about her current situation. She's a creator, but she was creating by default over and over. And this is so common. We focus on what we see in front of us and we create more of it. We create more bills, more debt, more dissatisfaction with our relationships. All right, so manifesting, again, it's not about getting shit. It's about being creative and dreaming big and really holding that vision in our mind. It's about focusing on what we want to create, how we want to show up in the world, and how we want to experience this one beautiful life that we have. It's also about creating new patterns that support us in creating and building this life. Getting out of our own way and stopping those default patterns of self-sabotage. Remember, we are creating all the time. It's just usually by default. But it's so fun and simple to go from default to deliberate creation. Now, simple, but not necessarily easy. It does take skill. It takes skill to focus our attention and our energy on what we truly want. It's such a fun topic to explore, and I'm excited to dive into it more with my course coming out soon. But if you have any questions about this, if you are curious, or maybe you've done a vision board in the past or tried positive affirmations, stuff like that, and they haven't worked, then reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you about it. It's one of my favorite topics. Okay, friend, I hope you found some value in this, and I will see you next week.